Hi, this is Mr. Evans. This video looks at at reshoring. The previous video was on offshoring. This one now looks at what reshoring is. So we defined offshoring in the last video as the process of a business organisation moving some of its operations from its country of origin, its home country where it's headquartered, to somewhere overseas. So for example, it could be done with a particular department. You might move your marketing department somewhere. It was often done in sort of the late 1990s, early 2000s with things like call centres, or it might be your manufacturing that you move overseas, often for reasons such as taking advantage of lower wages abroad, lower cost of production, etc. Reshoring is the opposite of that process, where we've offshored, and then for some reason the business wants to bring that activity home after those activities have been conducted offshore. And this has been a trend over the last sort of 4 or 5 years. I'm recording this in January 2018, and this is a trend that's occurred over the last 4 or 5 years. There's some headlines here, and if you just do a Google search for reshoring, you'll find plenty of examples of businesses that have started reshoring, and some quite good articles on the BBC as well. If you do like Hornby, the toy manufacturer, reshoring, I think you'll be able to find some videos there that are pretty good, giving you some actual examples of companies that have reshored and why they've done it. So as I said, this is a trend that's been going on. There was a trend around 2000 for offshoring activities, and because of various reasons, like with call centres that were located overseas, customer service suffered for many organisations. So lots of those call centres have been reshored, and some operations are coming home as well. Like I say, Hornby, the toy manufacturer, have reshored some of their toy manufacturing back into the UK. So why have they done that? Well, one reason might be to increase their flexibility. You know, it's a lot easier to respond to changes in demand if you've got a factory here in the UK. So if one of your customers says we need this, 2,000 units of this made in this particular way, and we want it in a week's time, it's much easier to do that if you've got a factory based in the UK than one that's maybe over the other side of the world in, say, China or Malaysia, where those products will have to be shipped back to the UK. This is related to kind of having shorter lead times and lower transport costs, which means businesses are far more responsive to changes in demand, and it's much easier to match the supply to demand. In addition to that, lots of the factors that were driving the trend for offshoring was the fact that there was very low wages available overseas in these developing countries. As countries develop, what happens is wages go up, and kind of you could argue there's been an increase in the competitiveness of the UK workforce. More likely it's the fact that the workforces in developing countries, people are asking for a bit more money. Maybe there's still some concerns about the quality of the goods that are produced there, whereas in the UK the workers' wages haven't gone up significantly in recent years, and that workers are relatively highly skilled and quite well trained. There is quite a lot of negative publicity often when organisations offshore, and equally it creates good publicity and public relations when jobs are reshored. Give businesses more control over the production process, so it's much easier to monitor quality and corporate social responsibility issues when production is taking place closer to home. And particularly in relation to reshoring in the US, President Trump has got a policy that he calls America First, and speaking in January 2018, he's recently revised corporation taxes in the US to try and encourage companies that have got lots of operations overseas to come back. And it was mentioned just this week that Apple are reshoring quite a lot of their overseas money, up to $38 billion worth of business was what was reported. So these are some of the factors that have driven the trend for reshoring, returning operations back to the organisation's home country.